live. Everyone can see your beautiful faces.
Hello, hello.
It'll probably be a slow trickle of people popping in.
Yeah, no worries. Are you recording this?
It'll be a recording at the end, so I'll be able to send it to you.
Cool. Sounds good.
I will find a way to get the VOD and send it your way.
Yes. Do you guys think that we should just go ahead and introduce, or should we wait for more people to come in?
We should just get rolling.
Yeah.
Because if we're just sitting here not saying anything, people will come and leave in a second.
Yeah, just scroll by.
True, start talking. Yeah.
Get the convo started.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, what we'll do is I think it would be good for everybody to kind of just introduce themselves. I thought I would just do it, but I think it's better to hear it from the creator themselves. So, yeah, everybody just introduce themselves, talk about what you create, and we'll get right into what we're talking about today. Who'd like to go first?
I'll go first.
Go for it.
My name's Ethan. My username is a hot take DM. I mostly just post D&D TTRPG hot takes, and I've started doing some comedy skits and stuff like that, just because I like to make people laugh, and encourage conversation about some things that I feel are kind of spoken of, but not spoken of enough in the space. And as far as player experience, I've been playing for 10 years, mostly DMing, just getting stuck behind that screen, which it's my favorite place to be anyway. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool. Very happy to have you here, Ethan.
Thank you for having me.
Who'd like to go next?
I'll do it. I'm Eric. I go by the Elder GM. I started with role-playing games when I was 8 years old, all the way back in the 1970s. Long time ago. I played D&D and other games off and on throughout the decades. Oddly, I only played the odd editions of Dungeons and Dragons, not the even ones. So it's a little weird. So I post a lot of my longer form content is comparing rules from the first edition to the fifth edition and how they vary and what's changed and why. I also paint miniatures and build tabletop terrain and things like that for the gaming table. And I host games on Start Playing for everyone to enjoy who wants to play with me. That's it.
Very cool.
You also have an actual play, right? The B team?
It's not an actual play.
Okay.
I just post. I just have permission to post audio clips of what we do.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to shout that out for you because I was listening to the clips on Discord, and it's very good.
Oh,
it's very good. I really enjoyed that too. I listened to it. I think it was this morning. Very good.
Yeah. I have 6 people playing that, and one of them has not given me permission to share their voice, so it's hard to get good clips out of it.
Understandable.
But I'm working around it.
Yeah. Very cool.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. Who's next on the docket?
I'll go if you're not wanting to, Alice.
After you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ruel Fox. I am a professional dungeon master. That is mostly what I post about. I do get into some discourse and other nonsense like that, but I mostly just talk about the games that I play in and my players and the ways to make the community improve and also to chill myself out so I can make money in a fun way. Not in a corporate way.
Heck yeah.
I also work with a couple of podcasts and do their sound design and editing and stuff, but that's not what we're talking about today. I'll promote them somewhere else.
I must say I'm very thankful for your skills because you were like jump in and I was like, yes, thank you so much, savior. All right, Alice, we've got you last.
Hi, I'm Alice. I am an experience designer and layout designer and narrative designer. I make my own little tabletop RPGs at faypop.com. Playing like D&D for like a decade at this point, which makes me feel old. And I just like understanding the psychology of that, and it's very fun. And I run weird experiments and I study this, and it's fun.
Very cool. I don't think I realized that you study it. That's really cool. I'm kind of interested in the aspect of how therapists are using D&D for like mostly children, but they're using it in therapy. I think that's really, really cool. That's like right up my alley. So very cool. Since this is not my page that we are live on, I'll kind of talk a little bit about myself. So my name is Krista. I haven't come up with a cool TikTok name because I didn't expect to actually be creating content. So it's just my name, Krista Portis. And I post mostly about D&D, asking questions about D&D, but TTRPGs in general. I'm very, very new to the hobby. And so a lot of my questions are like legit questions that I need help with. And it's been really, really fun to experience this community and connect with so many cool people. And one of the reasons that I chose each of you, which we have, lots of other people that are wanting to join me in this, but I wanted to create this kind of community here, and I chose each of you individually because I really enjoy your content. And I was just excited to get you guys on pretty quickly and hear your perspectives. So I appreciate you being here, especially with all of the difficulties that we've experienced today. And yeah, thank you for each of you for introducing yourself. So somebody had said in our Discord that they thought it would be really good to start with session 0 since this is our first session, and I really liked that idea. We don't have to stick specifically to session 0, but I think that would be a good place to start. So I have a list of questions in regard to session 0 for each of you to kind of talk about. It doesn't have to be like, okay, you go, now you go, now you go, and we just have a conversation. So let's get rocking and rolling. I think it's going to be fun to hear all of your perspectives. And Loki, I'm going to be over here taking notes because you guys are, I got into the hobby less than a year ago, last November. So just a baby, and TikTok thinks so as well. So yeah, so the first question, just starting out, is do you do a session 0? And if you do, why? And if you don't, why not? And if it makes it more comfortable for me to go, I can go and say that I do host a session 0. I've hosted 2 games so far. I'm hosting a Daggerheart game on Start Playing every week on Wednesdays, and I host an in-person game that I started that I made on like a Facebook event to get people in my community to play and to make friends. And I hosted a session 0 for them as well. I felt like it was definitely necessary. And yeah, I really enjoyed both session 0s, and it really helped me find a good group. So yeah, that's my simplified answer, and you guys can hop in.
All right, I'll go. I think I might have a bit of a unique, at least I feel like I have a kind of unique thought on session 0 just because of my age and for how long I've been doing this. In 2004, I pretty much stopped playing D&D, and that was when my son was born. It was still like 3.5 edition had just recently come out, and so I didn't pick up D&D again until just last year. And of course, I jumped into the community, and I saw so many people talking about session 0 and consent forms, and I'm like, what's all this? I mean, I literally thought, what's all this nonsense? We didn't used to do this. What's going on here? So I took like months, months, like looking into it and learning what is the session 0 all about, and what is these consent forms, and why are we doing this? What's the thing, right? And I'll admit, at first I thought it was unnecessary and silly, and you know that I planned up to just my age and just not having anything like that while I was younger and growing up. But the more I read about it, the more I talked to people about it, the more I realized, yeah, this is important. This is important to sit down in your session zero and talk about expectations from people on both sides of the screen, where the DMs are going to talk about what they expect from the game, and each individual person is going to talk about what they expect and what they want. And of course, you know, you have all your consent issues. You know, we don't want anybody bringing up old traumas or anything like that. We want the game to be fun and comfortable and a good time for everybody. And you don't want to have surprises come out at you, right? So the more I looked into it, the more it all made sense. And now I absolutely do a session zero always when I go over that, and I have consent forms from my players. And it was really nice when I sent out the consent forms for the B team. One of the players got back to me and they were like, "Wow, I am so glad you did this. I didn't think you would." And I said, "Why?" And they're like, "'Cause you're like one of the graybeards." I'm like, well, yeah, okay, sure. But I did, because it's important to me, and we have 4 sessions in, and I think I've checked in with them 3 times just to make sure that everything is still okay with what they're doing. I do go over their sheets before I start writing for each session as well, just to make sure that I'm not going to inadvertently throw something in there that's going to be bad for somebody. And yeah, session zeros and they're an important thing nowadays. Absolutely, 100%. And I think that they make the game better for everyone.
Mm-hmm. I think jumping off of like what you were saying about your original thought about session zero and stuff like that, that's like a really common thing, and not even just from like, you know, in like an older style of play standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
you know, most people are playing with like their friends, and it's like, oh, why would you need to like check in? You know, they're my friend. I know not to talk about the things they don't want to talk about. But it's something that I had to switch up and learn real quick, running, you know, almost exclusively now professional games. I play with almost, you know, strangers all the time. You know, there are some people that I've been playing for, you know, a year or so with in the same campaigns, and I'd say they've like graduated to friend level from like just person I play D&D with. But the massive bulk of my players are people that I do not know, and if I didn't have the session zero or like some of the safety tools, like you mentioned, the consent sheet or like lines and veils and things like that, I definitely would have like stepped in it and brought up some nasty stuff that people didn't want to talk about. You know, they're so useful, especially even coming from a place of like your friends. They're wonderful.
Yeah, I should have said, I don't even have an in-person group anymore. All of my games are online with people who are strangers that are throwing money at me to do this for them. And some of them are becoming friends, and it's great and it's wonderful. So yeah, I didn't mention that, but yeah, it's the same for me.
So I actually mostly play like in person with my friends. Like I've ran for like a couple of like groups of strangers, like one shots and stuff. And when I started doing that, that is when I learned like, yeah, you really do need a session zero. And kind of like piggybacking off of that, like, yeah, oh, you know your friends, you know, like you said, like what to talk about, what not to talk about, like avoid these things. But I kind of like with our last campaign and going into like a new campaign, really sat down and I said, okay, like let's talk about it. What do we want to cover? You know, just what within the campaign, and then yeah, like the safety tools, like that stuff is like so nice because you do hear horror stories all the time of, you know, people sitting down at a game store or at a random table or online, and it's terrible. And some of my friends have like experienced that and were, you know, like, oh, hey, can we like start implementing some of these things where we can like, you know, you and I can talk about what we can and can't include. And I've really enjoyed kind of like getting all that background and like knowing your limits. It almost like, I feel like it can kind of build up what you want to do going further when you know like where the barrier is, right? Like, okay, cool, I can completely avoid this. So like any thought I might have had towards something, like a littler example is like I have like severe arachnophobia. I don't put spiders in any of my worlds. Never once has there been a spider. Like I've played like with Faerun, like Forgotten Realms with the Spider Queen and stuff, and there'll be mentions of spiders, but like I just don't like to put those in there because like, okay, yeah, I don't want to have them. And, you know, if a player like wanted to argue with that or something, like, or not argue, but wanted to include like a spider companion or something like that, I wouldn't be against it necessarily. But, you know, that's like to a minor degree of like, okay, cool, we know we can kind of avoid that, so we can go forward with other things and kind of like gets your juices flowing in other directions, whatever that may be, like minor or like sometimes it's like really little things, or sometimes it's, you know, big things that like don't touch that at all or anything, which I think that's like why session zeros are super valuable.
Yeah, I had a guy in my Daggerheart game who he brought up he has a fear of cemeteries, so he didn't want that to be brought up, or if it was brought up, he wanted it to kind of be quick so he could expose himself to it, which I thought that was interesting. But I mean, that's part of his healing journey, if he's trying to work through that fear, which I thought was really cool. But he let me know, like, and that's something I wouldn't have really considered, a cemetery. You know, I would have never considered that, but it was really cool to hear that perspective, and just the perspective that he, you know, he's like, well, it's okay if you bring it up every now and then, but it, you know, so I can expose myself to it, but just kind of shy away from it. Like, I don't want a scene where we're like fully there for a whole session. But yeah, it, like you said, like it could be something huge, or it could be something that, you know, we as the individual may view as simple or small, but to somebody else, it could be a really big deal.
Can I bring up something else that session zeros are really good for?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so there's this huge focus on the kind of like, yeah, like emotional boundaries and all that kind of stuff and traumas. Like that's obviously super important. But I think session zeros are bigger than that. And just thinking it's about emotional stuff, someone thinks, I'm tough, I'm fine. Like if they think that's all it is, they'll blow it off. But there's other stuff about planning a game too, which is literally like you're sitting down and planning the trailer together for like this movie you're gonna make, you know? So like even things like what genre is this? Like do we like more storytelling or combat and all that kind of different stuff? Because even if you say, oh, we're gonna play D&D, like any word is socially constructed and formed from our own experiences, what we've seen, what we've done. And even if both people say, yeah, we're gonna play D&D, they show up, and if they're not on the same page of like tonally, or like they're expecting gameplay, it gets cringe, like inevitably, pretty quickly too. And as a DM, that'll mess with you because like you think you played a good game, and then like one or more players are just there like not having a good time, and you can psych yourself out and be like, "What am I doing wrong? Is this bad?" And it's really just like you're doing something fine. It's just not that, and just like getting that miscommunication stuff out of the way, like laying it all down, is so useful. Campaign planning, like it's helpful at the session zero to be like, yeah, here's my wish list of cool stuff I don't want to do and bad stuff I don't want to do, and like that's just what I run with. Like those are my notes. That's my material.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
I kind
absolutely.
of was like glossing over when I said expectations on both sides of the screen. I'm like, oh my god, I'm first to go, and didn't get super detailed, but yeah, that's what I meant by that. Yeah.
Yeah, I yeah, that was one of the things. With the Daggerheart one, it was a little easier because I'm running the Beast Feast campaign, and if you know anything about it, it's very silly. It's you're going in and you're killing creatures to get ingredients, and you're finding ingredients, and you're looting things to find ingredients. So that one was a little bit easier of a session zero with like actual campaign planning. But for the Dragon of Icefire Peak one that I run locally, in person, the session zero was that it was explaining, you know, here's the type of game that I want to run. I'm new, so you're going to have to be patient with rules. And I'm new, so I'm a little rule lax because I like the story aspect and the role play aspect more than I do with actual rules, which that's a whole topic in of itself. But yeah, just it's helped me. It helped me so much be able to plan for my campaign, knowing what they're looking for, what they want, each individual wants.
I mean, that's the whole thing of it, is just trying to find out what your players want to do and then condense the things they want to do and combine them to the things that you want to do and make a fun romp of an adventure out of it, whether it's, you know, period romance, sword lesbians, which there's a better game for that. It's just what came to my mind, but or like we want to go we just want to go do a war. We want to go fight a war and be big bad adventurers and throw fireballs and kill orcs. Like, as long as you communicate all those things and wrap it all together into something that everybody is able to vibe and flow with, then you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Like-
Go for it.
Yeah, because I do a lot of like research, user research, even professionally, and whether it's like a home game or like planning like a product or whatever, or like an event or anything like that. Like, the big secret of user research is if you don't know what people are going to want, you can just ask them. Like, it feels awkward and it feels like it's breaking decorum. Like, you could just, how am I going to predict a no? Or like, just ask somebody and they'll tell you.
Yeah, they will.
You got to be brave. It feels weird, but that's it.
Sometimes you don't even need to ask.
That's like it like that goes into like many like relationships in general. Like, if you have a spouse and you think that they're thinking one thing and they're not thinking that, it's good to just ask. Like, if you're running on an assumption, you could be failing miserably, or you could be lucky and they're loving what you're doing. But just ask. Are you guys vibing with this? What do you think about this? That kind of goes into the next question I had, was do you come in with the style of play that you want? So like, do you come in and say, okay, I want a dark, I want a heroic, I want a gritty, I want a high fantasy? Do you come in with that, or do you let the players choose that themselves and then you work around it?
When I'm creating a campaign, I'm creating the campaign. And I'm like, this is what the campaign is. If you want to play, if this sounds good to you, come sit at my table and we'll talk about it. Because I think getting into storytelling aspects is going to be beyond the topics we have for today. But when I'm creating a campaign, I'm like, this is my outline. I have an outline or some kind of idea, and I kind of want to stick to that. And I just throw it out there and say, hey, this is going to be dark, or this is going to be a fun thing where you start as a town person at level 0, and it's going to be fun and goofy, whatever. So no, I don't say, what do you want to do? I'm saying, here's what I have. Here's what's on the table. Come play if you want. And I find that you get people that are going to be more invested that way because they are already interested in what you're doing. But that's just been my experience. I mean, people are different all over the place. So,
yeah, I agree. Like, I feel like for me, like when I make the campaign, I'm like, okay, this is my theme. You can either choose to fit into it, or if we have to, we can work around. Figure out like how your character might fit into something like, if you put, like, to use like Daggerheart for an example, if you pull something like from Age of Umbra where it's super dark, Dark Soulsy, and then you bring that into Beast Feast, like, that's, the vibe isn't really going to match. But, if you're willing to work with them, you could. But like Eric said, I think you really do need to like set like, hey, this is going to be a lighthearted campaign. We could have some aspects where we like, tear into a little bit of other genres. Like, at least just at my table, I find that we always kind of somehow spur off in like tiny little tangents where we're doing something almost completely different, and then we get back to it. But for the most part, like, try to fit into this. Like, but not to put your players in a box. It's like, here's this huge sandbox. Make something fit in this big sandbox, please. Like, I guess if you want to go outside of it, you can, but please fit in the sandbox.
yeah, touching on that, when I'm creating a campaign, and you know what, you brought it up, so you opened this door for me. So B Team, I mean, and it's I feel like it's my flagship game right now at this point, anyway. So, when I'm creating a campaign, and I don't actually create a campaign, it's an idea in my head until I have players that are going to play. And it's only at that point that I start like really fleshing things out, because that's when I'm talking to them and finding out, hey, what's your character? What's your backstory? And now I'm getting ideas to get them to fit in to this, right? So they're getting a lot of what they want. They're not getting, a railroaded blah when I do it. They're getting a lot of what they want, but they're still playing in the setting that I came up with. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I actually, with the Daggerheart one, it was easy. I had an idea and we were rolling with it. Of course, there's going to be wiggle room for anything that you run, but with Beast Feast, it's just supposed to be silly. But with the in-person game, I had no clue. I had the essentials kit that someone gave me, and I was like, I could run this, but I'm open to getting something else, or if we want to, if you want me to create something, I'll try my best. But I wanted to go in with a pre-written as my first time ever being a DM. So I let them know, I have the essentials kit. We can run it. Have any of you played it before? And none of them had. So I did open it up to, what do you guys want to do? Like, do you have a pre-written one that you would like to play? And they really didn't. So I was like, okay, well, I have Dragon of Ice Spire Peak. Let's go with that. I gave them the gist of what it was, and they were cool with it. So, but I did kind of go in like, just like, I don't know. We'll play something. What do you guys think? I don't know if I'd do that going forward, though. Not that it's going bad, but it's just I would be like, this is what I want to do, and then here's if you can make it work, then you can be playing with us.
I feel like more often than not, there's also like a pathway to like kind of figure it out along the way. Like, you don't want to do like, have somebody want to play like a horror game and do epic fantasy. But like, if people don't have a real idea, you can kind of test some things out like as you go. Like the first couple sessions, maybe they go do some regular hero stuff, and maybe you introduce like a political thing. If they don't like the political thing, you move on to something else. You introduce a vampire or a ghost, and you try the horror, and you just kind of mix and match and play around a little bit until you find something that sticks. It is a little bit like of a more difficult path, to be sure, but I've had so many tables where we're like, we don't really know what kind of story we're playing until we're like 5 sessions in, and they're like, okay, we're the Ghostbusters this time, or like we're gonna go find all the loot we can find from all of the dragons in the realm. And I enjoy that kind of play because it gives me a lot of room to change stories and mix and match things around.
When I run, I have something I call kind of like the tuning period, like tuning into like a radio station and like really honing that for about like usually the first 3 sessions or so, where like even if it's a group of people, first of all, see if there's chemistry, right? Sometimes a group it's awkward. Even if you're great friends, it doesn't always work out. Like people just want different things. But also like, what do they want in this world? What's the campaign? What's the story? So it's good to start with like a couple loose side quests aside from maybe like some kind of initial like theme promise. See what they latch onto. And then, that's the thing you run with. Like, they're going to have weird theories about, like, one character or one quest plotline. And you can be like, actually, you're right. That's totally what it was the whole time. Or, like, something they're interested or, like, a theme or tone. Like, and you just run in that direction. And that's when I, like, actually plan a whole arc around that. Even if it's a pre-written thing. Like, make that silly goblin responsible for, like, these other things later in the book.
I really like that idea of tuning in like the radio, finding that station. That's really cool. That's a good
Perfect
what's it called?
description.
Yeah, analogy.
Analogy.
I call it the tutorial.
The tutorial.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, the tutorial. The dating phase. We're gonna see if this works out.
Yeah.
I think if you haven't seen, I had posted a video where I had a player who did not fit our table at all, and so I had to awkwardly tell him to go. But yeah, it was within the first. It was after the second session. It was during that 1 to 3 period time where I was like, yeah, I for the benefit of the group, I don't think this is going to work out. But yeah, it was right within that period of time. Let's see. So one of the videos that I did that got a lot of flack, and I keep seeing it over and over. I think the elder GM, he's experienced some flack about it, but discussing fudging rolls at the beginning, like in session 0. Yeah, what's everyone's idea on that? I'd love to hear.
I do not fudge rolls.
Agreed.
Nope. And like I said, I do all my games online, so I do all of the dice rolls right in Roll20 where everybody can see, good or bad. And sometimes that throws me for a loop when a roll goes the way I don't want it to. I'm like, oh damn. But yeah, I know I don't fudge rolls, not at all, never.
I just feel like it kind of. I'm gonna sound like one, some type of way, but like it does, like that's the point of the game.
Yeah.
Is the dice plus the modifier. That's what happens. Sometimes it's really bad, sometimes it's really good, but I feel like that's what gets you the most like memorable moment is the bad and the good. So like if you fudge those rolls, you're not gonna kind of get the both sides of it. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
I don't do it personally. I also do not like deride people that do it because I understand the want to have like a satisfying story and to like make sure these certain beats happen. Personally, I feel like there's ways to try and ensure that without having to fudge dice. You can give boss monsters legendary abilities. You can give important NPCs plot armor that isn't a lie about a dice roll. There's other ways mechanically to do that. And honestly, I don't even necessarily like give flack to like players that do it, because I feel like people that do are taking more from the game for themselves away. You know what I mean? Like if a player is like constantly fudging a successful roll versus a failed roll, like so much fun in D&D comes from the failures. Like that, it is so much joy and interesting story comes from the failures. So if you're just constantly succeeding, you're taking away from yourself an interesting story.
Yeah. And see, I come from the day and age where you came to the game with a stack of character sheets. So when the one on top died, you just started playing the next one down. You just go right through them. All right, here's 20 of them. I'm ready to go. But I get, the zeitgeist of the game has changed now, and it's very story driven. And personally, I love that. I'm a fiction writer, so that just right up my wheelhouse, right? So I love it. So I understand that having a player die because of die rolls that didn't go bad, that could take away from that narrative of that really heart-wrenching death scene that you could have had, and then all of a sudden, the dragon takes your head off, you're dead, and that's what the roll said. But again, it's a hard thing to deal with too when you're a DM and something like that happens, because now you like gotta on the fly come up with something other than just, oh, I'm sorry, the dice just said and I can't think of any examples right now because I'm not in game mode right now. But yeah, it's I do things for the benefit of narrative that aren't fudging rolls, like you said. NPCs with plot armor, 100%. I got a bunch of those. And this fudging dice rolls thing is like the tip of the iceberg of like a much greater topic. I think would be good for another night.
For sure.
Which is, you know, getting into Rule Zero and that kind of thing, you know. And I do not want to be in that one. Don't invite me for that one.
Yeah. It does need to
for the
be talked about.
storytelling one, though, I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, it's so in regard to session 0, I do think it's important to talk about it.
Sure.
Because you know, if you have people who prefer not to have you know, dice fudging, then that's good to talk about it. And if they don't care, then they don't care. And yeah, it's good to cover that in session 0. It's not something that I knew should have been covered in session 0 when I did mine, until I made that video. I didn't get as much flack as a lot of creators have. I have seen some terrible things in some people's videos. People are very cutthroat about this topic, it seems. But I don't need to yap. I love your graph. Let's hear about it.
So first of all, congrats and welcome to the dice fudging discourse. This comes around periodically. This is not the first time. I remember the last time, it's funny, about a month ago I made a video like predicting like, hey, this is gonna come again in the next like within 2 months. And I was right. But it happened last time, about 6 months ago. Everyone was staunchly like anti-fudging at all. That was the dominant thing. That was the cool position. This time, that's flipped a bit, which is interesting. And I just think that's funny. But what happened, the bad part of that, right, is the people who are like freakishly pro-fudging, like staunchly, that happened like in the last wave of it, were like weird about it. Like there was like sort of like an incel kind of like, I'm better than you, I know everything energy to it. And it was like, their creators was like, this is a huge red flag. Like you don't want to play a game with people. Like you want to like kill your players, and you're like, I want to win and I control the and it was like it was a complete ego trip. It was like for the wrong reason. They had no idea what they're doing. I'm like, I don't want to even play with that person at all, and I certainly don't trust them with the numbers. I do think there are reasonable cases where fudging dice is okay or acceptable, because like, I don't know, I spent years getting like a design degree, and I'm like a nerd. I read books about like screenwriting and storytelling, and like there's a kind of a science to it. And even experientially, like D&D started as kind of a simulationist war game, and then it got very like gamey of like, you know, as like a game and, you know, combat numbers and stuff. But the future we're seeing in this new era is like a narrativist bend over the past 15 years. And yeah, like story games, a lot of them are more control based. You have like token based games instead of dice based games, like because you want some control over that a little more. And as a simulation, it'll break sometimes. Like if someone's just missed every turn for like 3 turns, it's awkward and it feels bad. If someone has a cool big hero moment, they give a speech, and then like the rolls just fumble and it's awkward. And, you know, the hero like picks up the mighty sword and then swings the big bad, and then just nat ones. Like it breaks, you know, like, and those are edge cases, not supposed to happen. And that's sort of be like, okay, but like we all know that it should happen. And there's like kind of a wave to that, like I don't know, there's like a canon, like the hero's journey, like there are formulas for this. So this is like Act 1, Act 2A, Act 2B, Act 3, and this is an emotional valence graph where like up is positive and happy, and down is like sad and upset. In like even in Pixar movies, it goes down, you know, as it gets to Act 2 and everyone's sad and alone. This often literally involves like falling into a pit or something like that, to represent that, you know. So like if we're having a big climax fight, I know who's supposed to win. But like if I want a hard fight and then people just keep cheesing it, it just keeps going up and up and up, I'm like, okay, we gotta, you know, we need a little tragedy in here somewhere. Yeah.
Toy Story 3 came to mind, where they're literally like, I think they're in like a dumpster can or something. That's a terrifying movie. It's too much for me even as an adult. Yeah, so I have fudged dice rolls. I'm about, let's see, I'm 4 sessions in with D&D and 2 sessions in Daggerheart. That's my GMing experience. So, you know, I think on my very first my first session with D&D, I definitely did because I had no clue what I was doing, and I didn't want to kill everybody immediately. So, and we talked about that in session 0 that most of them were like, at least give us a minute. Like, I'm cool with dying, but like, can we get a little bit in? Yeah, I had to because I didn't know how to balance anything, and I still don't really know how to balance anything. But I don't know. I'm curious to see how my opinion changes from time to time, and who knows where I'll be once I get some more sessions under my belt.
Man, you want to
I think
talk
the more you
about a
do it, the
whole-
more intuitive it's going to become. For
Yeah,
sure.
That's absolutely
Yeah.
true. But you want to talk about a whole nother video and conversation. Game
Uh-huh.
balance and encounter balance. That, oh man.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
5e is terrible for that.
Yeah, the book's guidance is just wrong. Someone cracked how they figured out the formula for official encounter balance, and it was
Oh, it
like
drives me nuts.
bad. It was something stupid. I forget what it was. It was like balanced around you just spamming a certain damage spell.
Yeah, for sure.
If you had to talk about if you had to choose 5 things that you were absolutely, like, you could only cover these 5 things in session 0, what would be your top 5 go-to things? And you don't have to list them off 5 like all at once. I guess for me, I can go first. Like, my top one is the type of game. Like we covered, like the type of game. As a new DM and a new player, it's important to me that to have people that are going to be okay with like the rule of cool, because I'm learning, and so we might just have to like be like, that works for me. And I made a video where I'm kind of in that phase right now where I'm like, I just want you to do the cool thing. We'll figure out how it works. I don't know if it's going to mechanically work, but hell yeah, brother, go ahead and do it. Actually, I don't know if you can cuss on TikTok. My bad.
Again.
I swear on here all the
Banned
time.
immediately.
No,
You've got a child on here, and I cursed. Goodness gracious.
Bro. The other day I was talking about my EV eugenics program in Pokemon, so it's I will not get banned for a swear.
But yeah, that's one of my top ones is the type of game that they're looking for. Obviously, anybody have one yet?
For me, like my number one is like the player want, like what the players want, like what are they expecting to get out of it.
Yep.
Like I want to know, pretty clear cut, like, okay, this is what you want, this is the type of story you want, this is the type of story I want to tell, and like that, like collaboration of like, what's your goal, here's my goal, and like kind of setting that like standard going into it. That's like my number one thing, is just knowing what they want more than they.
I think number one for me is collaborative character creation. If I had to do one thing in every session 0, if I had the chance to get every single one of my tables together for session 0, I want them to do character creation together, because I want them to know what they can do together, and I want them to start building those ties of, oh, I'm like your cousin, or like I know you fought in that tournament I was in 2 years ago. Like I want those like character ties, and it always comes together better when they're doing it together. Just not something I get a lot doing these pro games. It's always like, there's one person joining this week, another next week, and like,
Yeah.
okay, figure it out, I guess. Good luck.
I think that's one of the things that Daggerheart does really well. Is session 0, you do create characters together, and they do a lot on questions for connection, and you go through that all together in session 0, and it's really fun because you're actively doing something as a player in session 0, and it makes character creation really, really smooth. Sorry,
like,
I cut you off.
Also, just time mine in really quick. That's like one of my big hot takes. D&D is the worst for like character creation. It doesn't like encourage you to like make your characters together. It's like, okay, make your own hero, throw them into the world. It is very much like you meet in the tavern, take your adventure. Obviously, like, like you learn to not do that. But like so many other like TTRPGs, I think very much lend themselves to, hey, like Daggerheart, they literally have a connections column. And like Monster of the Week, it's like, there's all these games that really lend themselves to like knowing your players before, at least like knowing one, and then like bringing that, connection into the game. And I just think that that's like the biggest thing for me with D&D is that like when you're trying to teach new people, I think it is kind of more difficult because that's not something that's in the, like, that is something you have to like learn as you go.
Did you have something to say, Elder DM? What's your? We have you have a name that we can call you by, outside of
Yeah,
your
and I
your
told
stage
everybody
name?
at the beginning.
Oh, I missed it. No,
Yes, you did. It's Eric.
Eric. Sorry, Eric.
Yeah. I did have something to say, and I don't remember what it was.
That's all right.
Rip.
No, wait, I do. I'm sorry. It just came back. We're talking about our like number one things we do in session 0.
Yes. Mhm.
I'm just going to say something different because so far I do all of the things you guys have already mentioned. So I'll just the consent forms and going over that with each individual player, which, by the way, can be anonymous as far as I'm concerned. They don't have to put their names on them, but they since I send them out through Discord, I know who's sending them back anyway, so it doesn't make any sense. But whatever. They're important for me because I want to make sure that everybody is comfortable and feels safe, and that I want to make sure that I'm not making any mistakes during the game at all. I'm a people pleaser. So I want to make sure that everybody is going to be happy, that everybody, when the session is over, not only are they satisfied with how the story and the game itself went, but I also want them saying, hey, this guy runs a safe table. I want to come back again, and that way we all have fun, right? There was something else again, because I forget. I'm old. I'm 54. I forget things a lot.
No worries. I do too. And I'm apparently under 13 according to TikTok. Did anybody else have any that it's like absolute for them, they have to do it?
I'm trying to think if anything's not been covered that I would do. One thing I do is I've noticed as I've been, this is kind of a hot take, getting into more games, doing all the consent checklists and stuff. Like if you're in like more professional games where it's a lot faster, like there's a lot of them, it's a higher turnover. It's not playing with your friends for a year. Like you got to do those more regularly. I noticed it started to feel bad because it's a lot of like psychic damage of like consider every bad possible topic you can in like this gauntlet, even if like most of it's kind of irrelevant. So I've been looking for ways to kind of like ease that discussion and make it a bit more like simplified, kind of tailor more specific, smaller, like here are the kind of questionable topics I'm considering, like let's narrow it down from here instead of overloading with like, it's too much up front. Where possible, a little bit of some stuff's like several degrees away. And then also I've started asking people like, what's the rating of this campaign and why? Because that's, I feel like, a really accessible standard, like it's rated PG for like comic violence or whatever, like those kinds of things are like the broad categories everyone already knows and is like a bit more tolerable. So I even made this like little zine a few weeks ago because I was like all these rules like and tools are like overwhelming, and I put a little spot for that, like what's the rating here under like what we want and what we don't want.
That is so cute. Love that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you sell those?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, promote it.
These are like free on my website because I figure this one should be free. So it's like it's faypop.com. So I technically sell them for $0 and 0 cents, but people
very nice. I love that price.
I grabbed one a couple weeks ago.
I gotta get some. That's really cool.
It's very cool.
I really like that idea. That's a really, really great idea of the rating.
Part of the
Yeah,
part of that like gauntlet of like things of the checklist is why I like lines and veils as a safety tool versus the checklist, because it's just like, hey, what are the things that you don't want? And it doesn't even have to be necessarily like trauma things. Like my personal veil for games is romance. I don't play TTRPGs for the romance part. I get why people like it. It's just not my thing. But being a DM, there's going to be plenty of times that I have to facilitate that for players at my table, whether through NPCs or them doing, PC romances together or whatever. So it's just a veil, because being aligned doesn't, really make it doable or like conducive to like having a good table experience for people that want that, versus like the checklist where you're like, oh wow, there's like sexual assault and spiders on here, like all these things that could potentially, like, are all these things going to be in the game? But I think that rating system that you said is a really, really, really good idea. I like that a lot.
You don't mean to, you mean to tell me you don't? Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
It's fine. I was
I was
say
just gonna make a joke.
I agree with both of you that the checklist, if you're looking at it over and over and over, can get bad. And the lines and veils is great because if you don't want to do that checklist thing, but I think the two work well together, because if you rely completely on the lines and veils, people aren't going to think of everything, or they may not be able to think of everything that they want to put down. And I think the checklist may help them do that. With sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of the safety tools are meant to be used in whatever conjunction works for your table and your groups in whatever combination necessary.
I have a question for all of you then, since we're going to this. What do you guys do for while you're actually playing? Do you do the X's and O's or some other system? You had that, okay. I use the stoplights, red, green, yellow.
Mm.
Yeah.
It depends.
We got to pick those up.
It depends. At cons and stuff where I have like cards that I can hand out, I'll do the red, green, yellow cards, like X cards, but those. Online, I kind of just tell them to message me if something happens, and like send me a Discord message separately from the thing. If it's something that needs to be separate, I'm also cool with somebody saying like, hey, I didn't like that, can we stop? Because openness is everything at my table. And I find that using like the X cards digitally is a little bit more difficult, and like people forget about them, or you don't, so I just try to let people know that they can stop me at any time or message me at any time. I've had people message me like 2 days after a session, like, hey, can we talk about that? Something weird was like going on in that session. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. What do you need?
Yeah, I have a stoplight macro thing that I have in Roll20, so people can just click on it and then that works. Or they can shout or type it or message me, whatever they are most comfortable with. 100% open door, whatever works for them.
That's what I do for online. I have the safety cards on Roll20 that they can click on, and it'll pop up for everybody. I think it pops up for everybody. And they can also just message me. For in person, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't implement any like safety tools other than just like saying, hey, you guys can say something if you're uncomfortable. So I definitely am gonna pick up some of those for my in-person table. I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, that's for like sorry, you can go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, people always forget about them even when you have them. So what I did is not only have like the buttons, you can have symbols. I wrote underneath like, hey, here's what you can do, because that's what everyone forgets. They freeze up and they don't know what to do or what that means, because like that's the thing they'll blank on.
That's super nice. That's super nice. Yeah, I was just to say, like, in person, I haven't really, like, I only play with very close friends, so like they know, like, say something, we're all very comfortable with each other. But even if you're not, like, come to me, like, whatever, send me a text. Like, I usually try to like keep my phone, right there, that like if somebody needs something, they can, I can see it. Yeah, like always have it ready, face up, so I can see exactly what, like, if they need something. Online, it's very much the same thing. Like, message me, stop the session if we have to, like whatever it takes. Like I want to make sure you are comfortable. I want to make sure you are having a good time. I do want to get some of those cards like on that book. That'd be very nice for like in person, especially like DMing. Like I've had some people that are going to be newer to some of these games coming in, and that would be really helpful to have like a resource right there. So I'm gonna for sure get some, because that'd be good.
Yeah. Cool. That was a good question. A little bit of a lighter one that I have here is do you treat session 0 more like a casual hangout, or is it structured? Do you come in with a structure?
Casual hangout, as long as I cover everything by the end.
Usually
Part of it is sort of
sorry,
like so when they're like casting a movie or whatever, they do like screen tests and chemistry tests. And I think part of having like, here's the things I need to get done by the end of this, but I want to let it be a more casual conversational space, because that's giving you like early data on how does people communicate, what's working, who's sitting there awkwardly. It might need just like, a more directed spotlight, like, hey, it's okay for you to say something. Like you want to leave it ambiguous just so you can start to feel that out early.
Mine's usually like procedural because it's always for professional games. If I get the chance to play in person, which is so rare, I do like it to be like a hangout. Like a few years ago, I tried to run a game for some kids I went to college with, and we did our session 0 at a coffee shop. So we got, we all had a drink. It was cool, but so often, because of like the rotation of paid players, it's like, all right, session 0, tell me about your character, here are my safety tools, here, this is the setting, this is what they've been doing for the past 25 sessions, this is what level they are, you can have a magic item but not any of these. It's like I have a Word document of like it's like doing a job interview but for a D&D game. Makes me feel like a robot.
Yeah, mine's just like definitely casual hangout, but then it gets a little too casual, so I'm like reining them back in. I'm like, okay, come back. We got to do some things here. It's definitely that. It's just the constant like, okay, cool, we've had our laughs. Now, anyways, what's your character's name? And like, it's even like pulling them back in, and yeah, like kind of getting to see like how they interact and everything. That is definitely a huge thing about session 0, and trying to like keep it more chill. That way, that whether or not there's going to be any, like you said, like awkwardness or anything like that. And but yeah, like I don't try to be too strict with it, just because I don't want. Well, also I just don't want to like come out as like a hard ass right away or anything like that.
Yeah. So
Session 0 is it.
Go for it. You got it.
Yeah, session 0 is great for sussing out how the players are going to react with one another, how they're going to react with you. It's good for knowing who you as a DM may need to work with a little bit more than some of the other players. My session 0 for the B team, I had one guy who knew practically everything about all the character creation options, and he kept chiming in. And you know what? I just backed up and I let him, because I don't remember all of that stuff. Like, you want to help? Go ahead and help, man. That's great. I got another guy who doesn't talk much, which is fine. So I just kind of like say, hey, X, what do you want to do? Just to like get him to do something, but I don't want to make him super uncomfortable, right? But yeah, that session 0, like Alice said, it's like you're sitting down for your first cast read or whatever, and it can be interesting, and it will give you a lot of clues as to who you got to work with, who's going to get along. It can even help you come up with ideas that you can actually do for the campaign. It's actually a really wonderful thing to just have this kind of informal sit down of under the pretense of creating characters, but then you can still go over the consent stuff and the expectations and all of that, and you can just make it all seem like a casual thing. It's really wonderful if you do it the right way, and you got a great group of people that you're playing with.
Yeah, so
My 2 cents.
for my D&D game, I actually rented out like a room at a coffee shop. They had like this like meeting room. So it was a nice vibe. We got drinks and we were all hanging out, and these are people I had never met before. So it was like a casual hangout. And we just kind of talked about everything, very very chill. It was a little awkward at first because nobody knew each other, except for a couple came together, but yeah, it was just we just were kind of getting a feel for each other before we even jumped into questions, kind of just like how you doing, where you from, you know, just things like that. And then we jumped into session 0 with the dagger heart. It was still like it was very much like a hangout. I just had everybody jump in on a Discord call, and we hung out. And with Daggerheart, because of the connection questions, it kind of gets the camaraderie going between players, especially with people that don't know each other. So it was very casual, just chilling. With that, with this in mind, do you have a set amount of time that you set it for, or do you just kind of like, if it is more of a hangout, do you just let it go for however long? And then also with that in conjunction, do you go right into starting the game, or do you wait until session 1?
It depends. It depends on the experience of the players. It depends on their familiarity with the game system. How long it's going to take them to make their characters. How much time are you going to have to take explaining and teaching things to them? B team, it took an hour. And we did not go right into playing because like this was I'm hosting it through Start Playing. Session 0 was free. Session 1, where the game actually started, was paid. So we stopped there and said, okay, we'll see you guys next week. But yeah, it really does depend. There's too many factors involved. I mean, you can try to put a set time on it, and you can really probably stick to it if you wanted to, but there's way too many factors. I think if you know that if you are running a game that's an introductory game for new people, or if you are a new and inexperienced DM, expect to spend more time. And if you have experience and your players have experience, it's going to go by pretty quickly and pretty easily for the most part, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think like you can set a time, but I don't know. I feel like just with session 0, I don't know. It's kind of hard because like you said, if you have experienced players, you can bang that out in 30 minutes. Like it's it's not too bad.
Some of them had their characters made before session 0 even started the last time. So they're like, I know what I'm doing. Here's my character.
Yeah, like I'll hang out for a little bit, anyways. Yeah. Like tell me some of your things. Like it really does just depend. Like again, like if you are doing more of like a chill hangout, you could just be vibing a little too long, more than you would want to, or whatever. But yeah, like I just think it really depends. Session 1, I've done that a couple of times where I just kind of like go into like not really a session 1, but like a mini session, like introduce the characters, kind of do like a little backstory thing for them. But I've kind of started to deter from that because I like the idea of just throwing them into the action now as like, okay, session 1, you guys discuss, how do your characters know each other? Why are you here? What's going on right now? And here's your scenario. That way when we start, so I guess it is kind of like a tiny session where it's like, oh, here's some background information. This is what you guys are doing at this very moment when we pick up the next time. So I guess a little bit of one, but yeah, I don't know. I think that it's kind of nice to get into that session 1 to like really get that momentum going.
Anybody else have any other thoughts on it?
I will say that every campaign I've played in my life has always started with like, oh, session 0, it'll go quick, and then like we could start a little scenario or intro, and then like we never get to that. Or session 1, like this is where I think we've done a session 1, we do half of that. That's just how it goes. It's fine. You get used to it.
That's mine being the procedural style that I do mine in usually. I usually set a half hour aside for it, and then with a 15-minute buffer either way. So like if someone's running early or running later, they have a lot of questions. So it's usually around 45 minutes to an hour, but I always try to make it the 30 minutes, unless it's something where I get to do it in person and do that casual type of thing, because I like to do that same thing. You know, here we'll build our characters. Okay, you guys are fighting 10 goblins. How'd you get here? Why are you doing this? How do you know each other? We're in the action. But I hardly ever get to do that.
Cool. Well, we're going to wrap it up here soon. So I have one more question, and it's kind of a question, two questions in one. What is the number one thing that you would tell a brand new DM that's going to do their first session 0 ever? And in conjunction with that, I know we kind of had Alice give us a resource, but are there any resources that you would give a DM or a player for that session, or sorry, for session 0? Is there anything that you would give them, any videos that you would recommend, or any kind of resources that you have to throw out there?
I guess yeah, I mean, really at this point, I think just the access of it. The first thing that I would recommend is like look on TikTok, just search session 0 prep first time, and find what you want from it. Like if you watch, you know, if I put out a video and you put out a video and we all put out videos, and you don't like something from somebody's thing and you like somebody else's, just take what you want. Like it is your game at the end of the day. And then also like my biggest prep is like don't sweat it. I think session 0s are kind of scary because it feels like there's a lot to cover, but you'll get there. Like just don't worry about it too much, and just make sure that like you are setting up your table for success. Whatever that might look for you, you know, will evolve as you play and like as you DM more games or GM more games. You know, it just kind of depends as you go further, and just knowing that you're not going to nail it your first try. Like 100%, that's just not going to happen. And if you do, that's freaking awesome. But that'd be impressive.
That's good advice.
My video stopped working.
Yeah, it
Yes.
looks like you froze up a little bit.
Ah,
Unless you're just a
Okay.
really good ventriloquist.
no.
Oh no, spinning forever. The twin
Whoa.
boxes.
We've got the death spin.
The almost GameCube logo.
Oh, no.
And gone.
It's all good.
I can say something while we figure that
Go
out.
for it.
Go for it, Alice.
It's okay to like ask questions and figure it out. The whole point of session 0 is really feeling it out, which will extend into session 1 and session 2 and kind of session 3. And that's okay. You will never cover everything. Even if you have the most detailed consent checklist in the world, there's going to be something that pops up in like session 4 or whatever that no one thought of, and everyone agrees, oh yeah, no, we should. You can always update it. Anything you do in session 0, that's never the end. It's an ongoing thing.
Mhm.
That's really good advice.
That's super good advice.
Yeah.
Elder, do you wanna get yours in without your camera on, just for the last moment?
Oh,
Oh, we might have.
Oh,
Oh,
we
there we
got
go.
Yay. I like completely lost my connection.
Oh,
I don't know.
goodness.
So I missed things, but whatever. So it's all good.
We're still on the same question though. So, is there one thing that you would absolutely say to a new DM? The one piece of advice that you'd give them?
Relax. Relax. 100%. Just relax. Don't stress.
Mhm.
That's great.
I mean, that's my
the
number
best
one.
advice.
I mean,
That's good advice.
Truly.
That's just great advice right there.
I think mine would be if something seems fun, try it. Try to put it in your game. Try to put it into your session 0 if there's a tool that you think would be fun to do, or like even like an exercise. Like if you want to throw an improv exercise at your players, it'd be like, what's your character's favorite blah blah blah, you know, to find a rollable chart with fun stuff on it. If it seems like it would be fun for you and for your players, do it. Who cares? We're playing a game at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
For sure.
That's good. Yeah, and I guess for me, even though I'm brand new still, I think the main thing I would say is, if you're waiting to for the perfect time to become a DM, a GM, there's never going to be the perfect time. Just do it. I was so scared to try it, but I just wanted to. I was ready, and I mean, I wasn't ready, but I was ready. And I was so stressed out. And I think I prepped session 0 with like nothing that was going to be happening, probably like a full week before, and it's taken me until like now to like like get it down to like 4 days, 3 days of like full session prep. So like you just got to do it. You just got to put yourself out there when it's scary. And if it's with your friends, great. They're going to understand and they're going to be patient with you. Hopefully, if they're not, I don't know, get better friends. And if it's with strangers, put yourself out there. You can meet some really, really cool people. This community has been so beautiful and so welcoming to me. And it's really been a place where I've been able to explore myself, explore hobbies that I never knew that I had, and just dive right in. And there's so much for you to learn. You're not going to learn it all. So just take it bit by bit and get right out in there and do it. But yeah, this was really fun. Thank you so much for sticking with me through these hiccups. Thank you, Ruel, for hosting it for us. Hopefully my TikTok is not banned and it'll go a lot more smooth. But I appreciate each and every one of you. I really enjoy your content. Keep making content, please, or I'll cry. Yeah, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun and very entertaining, but also very informative.
Thank you for inviting.
Want to say real quick, if you guys look on the screen, I'm circling with my mouse now, so you guys can see everybody's screen names in the little box next to their thing. Everybody except Krista, but Krista's is just her name also. So go and follow these excellent creators. I do not want to soak up all of the engagement from this. I do not want it. This is Krista's idea. Go and give them love. Please buy things from Alice, follow Ethan, follow the Elder GM, listen to their stories, listen to their cool shit.
Thank you for having us. This was so much fun.
It was great. It was a lot of fun, and
Very
thank you for putting this whole Discord server together.
Yes. Oh my
and all of
god.
that. You know,
Awesome.
I think you want a username. It should be what D&D community coordinator or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen anybody come into the community and this quickly in a whirlwind just wrap up so many people and get them so involved, engaging. I've never seen anything like this before, and it's all you.
Yeah,
Oh, I really appreciate that.
Yep.
Well, it's the community is incredible. So it wasn't. I didn't do much. I just was like, hey, I'm new. How you guys feeling about that? And everybody was like, we love you. Come on in.
Yeah.
All right, Krista,
So,
you got to
yeah,
sign
well, I
off.
hope. Not really. I hope you all have a fantastic night. I don't have a catchphrase. I'll have to work on it.
Workshop it. Throw some in the
Yeah.
server.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna end the live. Goodbye, guys.
All right.
Bye. Thank
Bye,
you, everyone.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.